Just do it. We go. Who knows? Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Starting Your Own Business show. Sorry for being a few minutes late. Technical hitches. I'm pleased to have with me today David Holland in Luxembourg.
Good morning. Good morning.
Liz Povey in the south of England. This morning, Liz is going to lead the discussion with an interrogation. Questions. Be kind to us around what makes a good franchisee. It's something we attempted last week, but the technical gremlins really worked against us.
They did. Yeah, we were talking about looking for the right people, looking for the right person, and what kind of attributes they would have. And I think we started off by organizational skills.
Yeah, that's right. So my two immediate answers with who makes a really good domestic angels franchisee in particular, because obviously there's lots of franchises in the marketplace and they require different skill sets. Some franchises for people just working on their own, and some are management franchises. Ours is a management franchise. So organization skills and customer service skills, including communication, are absolutely vital. So the organization skills, because we're all about organizing human beings to get jobs done, to deliver the service. So, people who've run their own households quite effectively are really good at this. Honestly, mums who run a busy home are exceptional because they juggle so much. They're used to it. It's all over the place, really dynamic. And customer service skills, including communication, is people who understand that customers aren't just the people who pay you money. Customers are everybody who receives some form of communication or experience from you. So that could be somebody who's a potential client. It could be your own staff. It could be you and me. Anybody who's a customer of information, of communication goes out. So for me, those are the two big factors that I'm looking for. David, you've had experience of other industries, franchises in other industries. Is there any common denominators, or does it tend to be specific?
I think there is a common denominator that covers whether it's a management franchise or an individual franchise. And I think that's the ability or the preparedness of the individual to follow a program, follow a system that has been proven and developed. And almost, not to never question it. It's not that question it is good, but don't just change it for the sake of it and do your own thing and follow the system. And it doesn't mean you've got to do what you're told. It's not that extreme. But a franchise is based around recognized systems and patterns of behavior and performance that have been proven, maintaining the brand and success. And it's being prepared to follow the system, basically, I think, and go along with it rather than reinvent the wheel every day, which is a good thing. But some people are wired differently. They like to sort of make it up on the spot and do their own thing and innovate. Well, there's a place for that. But fundamentally, follow the system is key, I think, as well.
In some franchises, David, is that requirement to follow the system much more extreme than others?
I think it is, yeah. Certainly with the bigger franchises, where you've got the big brands, for example, they have to have brand integrity and absolute product integrity, and it's much more specific, especially when they're making a product. And if you think of a food franchise, if you go to, it doesn't matter which one it is, you go to a food franchise and you turn up and the packaging's wrong or the sauce is wrong, or it's not going to work. You've got to be really, really specific and precise for that. A little bit more flexible when we're in the relationship customer service type franchising, because all our customers are different. They want slightly different products and different services. And I think I'd say it's sort of more 80-20, I suppose. You've got a solid framework around which you've got to be able to adapt and to dance with either your franchisees a bit different or your clients. So, but I think that there is quite a high rigidity in lots of franchises. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is a space for creativity within that.
I think there has to be. I mean, even the classic McDonald's, if you like, the fillet of fish and this type of thing. These are all ideas that came through from franchisees. I think the Big Mac itself, from memory, was created by a franchisee. They said, "Look, we want to do this." Now, the trick is, of course, not to go and just do it, it's to suggest it and use the right channels to go through. So that's even in every place, there's a place for innovation, creativity and suggestions. But the trick is not just to go and do it and hope for the best, is to use the methods to go along with it. So yeah, to be creative, absolutely, but do it within the framework, I think, is key.
So that's the organisational. So with the computer side of it as well. I mean, there's obviously running your own business. It's now a lot around computers and things like that. So would they have to have that background of that as well?
I think so. I mean, I think most people now need to be able to find a way around a keyboard and use, Microsoft and some apps and things like that. They don't need to be, at least in my experience, accountants or bookkeepers or anything like that. That's all taken care of. But certainly understanding, methods, systems, and some processes, and able to send emails, able to find your way around a bit on social media, just to updates, that type of thing. Things that can be learned real quick. It's to do what 10-year-olds can do. Basically, if you can do what they do, then we're good, we're fine, I would have thought.
Sam, do you think that's something we definitely need to be looking for, somebody with those sort of skills, those computer skills?
Yeah, there's no escaping it. Business is driven by technology these days, and any business that isn't driven by technology is probably not sustainable, environmentally or financially. So, technology is the future, and we just all have to embrace it. So, yeah, being able to communicate effectively and efficiently using email is really, really important. So, being able to write whole sentences, yeah. And well, it's true, isn't it? Because if you are a client, a paying client, and you receive an email that isn't a whole sentence and there's a few verbs missing, it's going to feel like a really poor experience. Yeah. So having that skill set is really important. And in actual fact, I think, Liz, what you're getting at here is really, really important. So when somebody first speaks to you, for example, because you're the person who's talking to potential candidates to come on board with the Domestic Angels franchise, if they're not using whole sentences, if they're not communicating clearly, they're not going to get past you to the next stage.
We experienced that already. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think for a lot of, especially for from a Domestic Angels point of view, we're in the people business. We are, and a lot of franchises are in the people business. I'm in the people business, as I work with people every day, and if we don't have those level of communication skills or a little bit of emotional intelligence that goes with it to be able to connect and communicate and build relationships, not just from a franchising point of view, but just in terms of business and life skills, you're going to struggle. So I think that's another key one, the ability to build relationships and be a people person to a degree.
I think also most self-motivation is going to be quite high up on the list as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Your franchisors are not going to drag franchisee through kicking and screaming. It's got to come from within you, just like it has to come from within us. There's going to be something about you. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't going to be low times. We all know that happens. But yes, there has to be self-motivation. You're going to create a vision, a goal, and you're going to go for it. You just happen to have a major team around you to make damn sure you achieve that goal and that it goes well and that you're successful, because it's in everybody's interest that you're successful. Hey, how cool does that sound?
Yeah. But I think people who buy a franchise have to be self-starters to a degree. They have to have that self-motivation, their own goals and aspirations, life goals, personal goals, financial goals as well come into it with that. The franchise is really a vehicle to allow people to achieve their own personal goals and visions, and they have to have that, and that's when the franchising works really well. I think in any franchise or any business sector, if an individual can achieve their personal goals by achieving their professional goals, then it works really well. They both go together. It's a good mix.
Yeah. Really. So they don't have to have, because of the franchise, obviously they don't have to have the ability to be able to write business plans or anything, because you obviously will, or we will obviously help them through all that. So there's a lot of support there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why you get involved with franchising rather than doing it on your own with a blank sheet of paper. So yes, of course, there needs to be a business plan, because we need to know what targets a franchisee needs to set to be able to achieve their personal goals. Hell, they're coming in this so that they can pay their mortgage, so they can live, so they can go on their holidays and everything. So by setting goals that generates the right level of income, then they achieve what their definition of success is, because we all have different definitions of success, and no one size fits all. I can guarantee you, no one size fits all. So what I think is successful is really different to what you think successful, David, and what another person in business might define. And that brings us back to our very favourite subject, that having a Range Rover on the driveway and all the gear doesn't necessarily mean you're successful. It very likely means you've got a lot of debt.
Exactly.
So, we're about having people properly successful in business. That stability, that peace of mind. Peace of mind is everything, and that is what I'm all about. I need peace of mind, so therefore everybody who's in business with me has to have peace of mind. It's a mission.
And I think as well, in terms of the mindset of people coming into the franchise, it is a partnership. I know when I was over in the States, a colleague of mine over there called a guy, Michael Kick, lovely guy, and he would explain that franchising it's a marriage, not a date, and it's absolutely true. It's a long-term relationship with the franchisor as well. So people need to be in a partnership mindset, because the franchisor is successful only when the franchisee is successful, and vice versa. Both need to be able to do well to thrive in this. So it is a real partnership approach, and that's why the franchisor wants the franchisee to do really well and use a system, be successful, say great things, and look good to the outside world as well, so that other franchisees feel that they can come and join, which is great. So a partnership mindset, I think, is key as well there.
I think a lot of people probably need to change their mentality as well, from going from the employed mentality to the owning their own business. I think that's probably quite a hard step to take.
It can be. I think a lot of people, they when they get to a certain point in their life or career, they tend to, and whatever age it is, doesn't really matter, but there's an age where they think, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to work for this idiot boss, or I don't want to do the commute, or I don't want to do that. And they know what they don't want, but they don't actually know what they do want. I think this is something when as Sam was saying, it's good to have the goals and visions, and be clear, what do you want in terms of lifestyle, in terms of income, in terms of balance, and all this sort of thing. Be really clear what you do want, and you can build the beauty of owning your own business within a franchise is you can build the lifestyle that you want, but you need to know what that looks like first. And that's one of the big differences. When you're an employee only, you tend to have to fit within the mold of the constraints of the company. Not so when you're in a franchise. Yes, you've got to work the business and build it, but you are your own boss. You can have that degree of flexibility too.
And I think it's a really good point to focus in on, actually, the difference between an employee mentality and being in business, whether you go completely on your own or within the franchise sector, is to own what happens.
Yes.
Don't blame other people. It's the ownership of it, and following the processes, definitely. That's what's really, really helpful. But own what happens. Don't get angry about it. Don't get upset about it. Own it.
Yeah.
And be open about it. It's okay to say, I think I might have aggravated this person. How do I deal with it? But that's fine. That's ownership. This happens. It's life. You're all humans. Just because you're in business, it doesn't mean that you're infallible. It just means you're human in a public place.
That's right. There's no escape. No, there is
no escape. Liz, have you got another question?
Well, what kind of things have you looked for in the past in your franchisees? Are there moments where you've spoken on the phone with them and thought, yeah, she's got this, she's got that, she's got, what stands out to you about the franchisees that you already have?
The questions they ask. The questions they ask, because if they're asking business type questions like, well, how does something work, or how does something operate? What's my relationship with you going to be? What happens if, and how can I find out more? So people who are asking really good, inquisitive questions. And I think anything that starts with the question, the word why, is probably a good one.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think as well, from a franchisee recruitment perspective, or the initial conversations, we would, if you get somebody who, I think two things. I think Liz, you may have experienced this recently. When you're having a conversation with somebody and you get zero response, you get the yep, no, okay. That is just nothing. That's not going to work. You know, we're in the people business. These have that level of interest. And also, if you get questions that aren't what I would call forward thinking, you know, about the relationship, about the growth and potential, and they're more concerned around, you know, how much holiday do I get? You know, what hours do I have to work? And all these limiting type things, that will suggest they haven't done the research properly first. And we want people who are looking forwards and up and outwards.
But okay, you know, there are going to be people who don't do research, but that doesn't mean that they're not a potentially good candidate. It just means they haven't got around to the research bit. They could ask really cracking questions by having that natural business acumen. People have got it. They just don't realise they've got it. Ask.
I think you've got to extract it out sometimes, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's having somebody who's saying, well, actually, if I'm genuinely thinking of doing this, what do I need to know? And how do I access the information? Who do I need to speak to? Liz, can you answer my questions for me? David, can you answer my questions for me? I want to know more about you. It's people who are curious and want to properly know and want to get involved for good reasons. I think, especially in the franchise industry, there's this very unfortunate perception that the franchisors are trying to sell to the franchisees. No. The franchisees need to question us in order to assess whether this would be the right investment for them.
Yeah,
because we'll get that investment back when they sell their business on. So it is actually the other way around. And you know, if people who are talking to somebody like you, Liz, who, you know, frontline person, are asking questions and taking that attitude, I want to hear from them.
I remember having a conversation with a prospective franchisee some time ago, and he said, "Look, I don't know much about franchising." He said, "So my question to you is, what are the top 3 questions I should be asking?" So I thought it was brilliant. That was genius, you know. And we had a great conversation, and because we would think about this thing, we point him other directions and that sort of thing. But just be open. Just be open. If you don't know what questions to ask, well, there's a great question to start with, perhaps.
Well, yeah, I suppose that is the case. If you're completely something, I don't know what to ask, but I instinctively think this is something I need to know about.
Yeah, exactly.
I've just been honest. I know what I'm doing with you. But anybody who just goes yes, no, just
have you found that a lot of people that take on a franchisee have had businesses in the past, their own businesses in the past, or are they just fresh out of work?
I think there's a mix. I think there's a mix. I think, and the beauty of this is if they go into a franchise situation and they haven't had management, leadership, you know, business experience like that, well, then that's what the franchise brings to it. Because how do you do that? How do you lead your team, build, recruit, train, and develop? Those systems are in place already, so it doesn't really matter. I'm just literally thinking that I think some of the best franchisees that I've seen. I remember we were training franchisees, and it doesn't matter who they were. This lady turned up in training, and I thought, wow, my goodness, this is either she's going to be a rock star or she's going to crash and burn. And she didn't have a lot of experience. That's all it was. Turns out she was an absolute rock star. She went back, but she just followed the system, learned everything, asked the right questions, and she built a fabulous business for herself. And it doesn't not dependent on history and background, particularly, because that's the beauty of a franchise, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, so really the big top tip we've got here, using one of David's very, very favourite phrases, is don't be a tyre kicker. If you want to invest in a franchise, if you want to open a business, do not be a tyre kicker. Yeah.
It's irritating to everybody, and it hurts your foot when you kick a tyre as well. It's not good.
Yeah. So the organisational skills, absolute key.
I think so. The organisational, people orientation. You'd be okay with people, like people, and willing and able to follow a system and a method. recipe for
Would
like
they have to have had a background in customer service, do you think, or is it something that you might be able to find within them if they haven't?
Yeah, I think you can find it within them. A lot of people have had customer service experience and just don't realise they've had it.
Yeah.
So they may well have worked in a shop, a retail, or hospitality is fantastic customer service experience. Those kinds of areas. It tends to be there in some form. You find it an awful lot of people who've been in the forces as well, because customer service experience are their peers and their officers, and they have to know how to communicate with them and take care of them and to respond in a timely manner. So customer service comes in lots of different forms.
And also ex-military, very good at following methods and systems as well. So great, good grounding for that sort of work.
And what about having the team underneath them? Obviously, they're going to be running their own team. Is that something that they would have need to have had experience of, or would that be something that they could learn?
I think they can. I think it's a taught skill, in my opinion. In general business and life, I think leadership management is taught. Anybody can do it within principle if they follow some basic principles, and I think within a franchise framework, we can guide people through. They need to be able to, have a bit of self-confidence and able to communicate. The basic tools need to be there, but you don't have to have managed a team particularly. Sometimes better if you haven't. For example, I know some of the big food franchises, they avoid franchisees who've got any training in food preparation and anything like that, because they don't want to have to unlearn what they've got from other places. So sometimes having knowledge and experience can be a hinder, because you have to unlearn those skills and reapply them. So I don't think it makes a lot of difference, actually.
What do you think, Sam?
Yes, but I think it's like customer service skills as well. People have often got the experience and don't realise they've got it.
Yeah. If you've got kids, you've got customer service experience, I guarantee it.
That's it. And I mean, especially with the domestic angels, do you look for people with families, or does it have to be somebody with a family that wants to work around their children, or are you open to anybody?
I think we're open to people who are in different settings. We've just found so far that parents with younger children are most interested. So that's who we believe we should be talking to. But actually, I think grandparents would really, really enjoy this, because they want time as well. But I also, there's lots of people out there who would really enjoy what we do. Definitely.
Yeah, having your own business is, you don't have to have your children in place as well, and sometimes you probably would have more time.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh yeah, that comes, doesn't it? Time.
Yeah.
So you've certainly got to be up for lots of communications in lots of different directions.
Yeah.
Not be shy of that. Strong organizer. The ability to learn processes, but also to have initiative.
Yeah.
And problem solve. Don't be reliant entirely on your franchisor. They'll explain it. They'll expect it to a certain extent, but then you need to stand on your own 2 feet. But that also comes down to effective mentoring. You've got to be able to be mentored and open to that kind of development.
Yeah.
Right.
Great.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Right, we've got time for one more question. Have you got one, Liz?
Oh, I'm trying to think. So we've done organisational skills. I mean, the ability to work from home might be something that they've got to be able to do. Some people probably want to be out in the field all the time, but is it something that they have to would they have to take that on board?
Well, you need a base. You need somewhere that you can use as your office base, your admin base. Now, I have a shed at the end of my garden. Explain to you where David sat in his house. Yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it?
It's not the bathroom. It's okay. It's not the bathroom. We're fine. We're fine.
So a space where you can do work. Now, there are lots of places out and about that you can use. so long as there's secure Wi-Fi, secure internet connection would be my recommendation. So if you really felt that you needed to do that physical disconnect and go somewhere else, there's places out there that are accessible. There's so many co-working spaces now. There's plenty of cafes, places where you can work effectively and confidentially without issue and with minimal cost. So, you know, there are ways of doing it. So perhaps doing a combination of those things would be a great sanity saver.
Yeah.
It is for some people, you know, if you're trapped behind the front door working all the time, it's not everybody's cup of tea, is it? Absolutely. I don't mind it whatsoever, but other people might prefer to say, well, actually on a Monday, very happy working from home, but I feel like I'm disconnected from society if I do it for too many days. So I'm going to go to a co-working space on a Wednesday, for example. And then with domestic angels, you go out and about in the field to see your angels, your staff, and your clients as well. So there's interaction. It's about having human interaction, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I think anyway, the internet you can work from, basically.
Sorry, Liz?
It's not all just then about being in the office. You're actually getting out, meeting the people, meeting the clients.
Yeah. But I think it's really worth thinking about the fact that sometimes you do need to take your laptop to a working hub or a cafe so that you remember there are humans out there and there's society. If you haven't learned that from lockdown, time to learn it. You can get a little bit cut off, disconnected and lonely, and that's not healthy. So I would consider doing that if you're one of those people.
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay. Thank you very much for asking your questions today, Liz. David, thanks for helping to answer them.
Great to see you.
We'll be around about the same time next week, no doubt, to answer anybody's questions. So please get in touch, and thank you very much for watching.
See you. Have a great week. See you soon.